Hello and welcome back to Week 3 of the North American LCS Spring Split, and we are kicking it off with XDG versus Counterlogic Gaming.
So good news is there's nowhere to go but up for XDG. They're having a tough time with 6 losses, and yesterday was no better. They're having issues with, ward coverage and sort of coming up with a cohesive plan for the end game.
Yeah, Zuna face-checking Dragon isn't something that really helped the matchup either, something they're going to look not to do today. CLG is a different story, however. They got a boost of momentum from Chowster in the mid lane yesterday with a very nice team composition.
Yeah, we didn't really know what to expect from him because he spent time in the jungle and at support in 2013. But he did well on Yasuo, since he solo queued that champion a lot, so he actually had a good amount of practice on that champion. It'll be interesting to see how he fares in this matchup, though, because he didn't get a standard laning phase, really, in the last matchup, and we'll have to see if he can actually hold up maybe if there's a longer laning phase this time around. Also, Double Lift personally had asked him to come join and then ended up saving him. So that definitely helped him out a lot here. His classic vein there with a triple kill.
And even though this is the first time XDG and CLG have met this spring, there's a real sense of familiarity between the two squads, especially with former teammates now turned foes facing off.
Versing CLG is a little like a rivalry because we go up against Benny and I's former mid player, which is Link. So it's always really fun to go against them, but it's kind of like a friendly rivalry.
It's been a long time since I played with Zuna, Benny, and Bloodwater. In fact, we've been a team that we always did really well early game, but we've always had problems in the mid to late game rotations. And I feel like with XDG, it's really very similar in terms of their playstyle right now.
CLG's had role swaps that I think are messing with their team strength. We've been doing really well against them in scrims, and I feel like Double Lift is having trouble carrying sometimes. So we'll see how we do against them.
XDG, since their role swap, doesn't seem to do that much well. Their strongest lane is probably top, where it used to be ManCloud carrying every game from mid lane, and Benny should be no problem for Nan.
Role swaps are really detrimental to your team synergy. You change something and then you have to build it from ground up, and it just sucks.
And I'd say both teams know enough about role swaps.
Yeah, CLG saying that role swaps are detrimental to your team. Take your own advice.
We'll see. We'll check out the starting lineups with not much swappage right now. Blue side is XDG, Benny in the top lane, Zuna in the jungle, ManCloud in mid, Xsmithy at 80 carry, and Bloodwater on support.
And on the red side, it's CLG. Up top is Nien. Link is in the jungle still. Mid will be Chowster. 80 carry is going to be Double Lift, and supporting him, Aframu.
Definitely a more spirited-looking CLG, but I'm sure XDG has, high hope spirits right now as well. They're just a little bit more calm and not as much chatter, but CLG looks ready for this game. We've seen that teams sometimes falter early in the morning, but that's just kind of the nature of the beast. Being a gamer, you don't like waking up early.
Yeah, nobody likes waking up early, but they should like coming into the studio after that win yesterday.
Yes, absolutely.
After a very long game like that where you have to earn the win, it feels so much better than even just like crushing them. If they had Crush Curse, they might not even be feeling as good as they are right now.
Right, and it was, like you said, it was a win with a smile on their face. It was still a bit stressful, but definitely a smiling win as opposed to one of those, man, how did we win? We got to go back and look at it. That was too much. So now into picks and bans. XDG versus Counterlogic Gaming for our first match of the day. And,
the crowd is not happy with this starting ban here. Taking out the Double Lift Vein means we won't have a repeat. He won't be able to save Papa Chowster if he gets himself into trouble split pushing again.
Well, back in the day, CLG was all about the late game, all about holding out until it was the all-star Double Lift to come through.
They're just going right at the last game.
The heart.
Direct bans.
The heart. It hurts.
Associated with yesterday.
We got an Olaf ban going towards XDG. XDG actually has 7 Olaf bans, the most in the league towards them right now because Zuna had too much fun on that. And ManCloud won't be seeing any Kazakhs, but neither will Zuna because he tried to bring that into the jungle as well.
So Elise is up. Yeah, that's definitely the highest priority jungler that was still available here. Options left. Wukong is definitely one that's moved up the ranks recently, so we'll have to see what they lock in.
If they lock this in, we have seen a bit of Diamond Prox in his variation of champions, played some Evelynn, but it is still the hover over for CLG. They have pretty much pick of the litter right now.
So starting off with Elise is very open-ended first pick here. You can go any direction that you want with it. They already know that they're going to have good control of the jungle early. there's very few champions that can actually fight Elise that early. Lee Sin is also available. That would be another one that they could go to.
See what they want. Gragas actually locked in with the Caitlyn.
Yeah, so Gragas and Caitlyn are a pretty good match because Gragas has amazing wave clear and Caitlyn is great at sieging turrets. So Caitlyn goes with the usual build, an early Bloodthirster. Then they could do a lot of turret damage very early here. And Gragas as well. We talked about at least being a good open-ended first pick.
Yeah.
He's very versatile as well. He could even go jungle still. So a lot of
Wouldn't have really said that before.
choices here for CLG still. Yeah.
Definitely stretching these champions to their limits, putting them in every position that they can. A little bit of a front line being grabbed up here on Renekton and Thresh.
I think, what was it, Afro Move said that, or Double was saying that Nien would just be able to handle Benny easily. It's hard to handle Renekton easily early game. So locking that one in early for Benny means that they will at least have a very strong top lane. Pretty much going up against any champion.
Telling the story of safety. They're pretty much going to go ahead and hold that one down, be a little bit stubborn in lane and keep himself alive. We see the lock-ins coming on the side for Aframu here. He was one to try Alistar, so he is still going outside the box, but it looks like we're going to get an Annie there today.
He is getting that hard engage. That was something that CLG needed a little bit easier path maybe yesterday. They still made it work, but having a Flash Tibbers, guaranteed long-range engage, plus she also can have great AoE damage to go along with Gragas. So their team is looking pretty well-rounded right now.
Yep.
Having a Mundo up there versus Renekton means it's the passive early game, but then he has teleport for later, so you're changing a little bit of that top lane early game power for late game.
And this pick for Mandatory Cloud may be what he needs. If he's not going to get synergy, he can roam and do it himself. And this is the first time he gets LeBlanc.
He's really going to have to do it himself. He needs to step up here. He's been having a terrible split compared to his last split.
Highest kills.
So LeBlanc is definitely a champion you can do that on, though. We've seen so many of the popular mid laners nowadays just fighting over LeBlanc. Bjergsen, Hai, everybody, they want to get their hands on this assassin. And he's been able to lock it in as a last pick here. So going into Gragas, it's going to be about who gets some good jungle pressure, because both of those actually stand up fairly well. LeBlanc definitely has good kill potential as well, though.
I feel like this works in their favor. A lot of, like you said, ManCloud is getting focused, so this will also give him that safety as well if he gets that right laser right in the middle of the forehead again. Aframu to pick in. We're still looking for that jungler possible mid lane. With the Gragas pick in, we're still considering those two spots.
So exactly. Gragas probably would be a mid lane here, but very well could be the jungler, and Chauster could pull out a surprise pick here to go up against that LeBlanc.
Chauster said yesterday in the interview, he said they did their homework. I wanted to play Ziggs and they first picked it right away from me, so he gets it this time.
Exactly. You know, they banned out the Yasuo and they focused on what CLG actually used in the last game, but you don't think about what CLG wanted that they weren't able to get last time. Last pick Ziggs is going to be great.
You saw the back burner champions.
Exactly. And this actually even brings more tower damage to the CLG team. Caitlyn plus Gragas plus Ziggs as a very formidable early tower pushing team here. So we'll have to see what XDG can do against that early. They have very strong lanes, though. You know, Lucian, bully lane, Renekton, bully lane, LeBlanc, always a scary lane. So they have the potential here for XDG to hold up to this early tower pushing.
Had to use it. So as the teams load onto the Rift, let's check the vote and see who you think will win this matchup. According to LOLesports.com, 80% think that Chauster will remain undefeated as CLG's new mid laner.
Yeah, he's got a pretty good record so far. He can boast never losing in the LCS this split.
Then you just got to get out now.
Okay, who's going to step up next? They
You got your jersey on?
They have a long list of people to choose from. I think Saint might be in the audience here. No, maybe not.
No, they don't. They do have a long list though. Subs. That's the kind of something we were talking about the other week too. Is some teams have been picking up subs as well now in the second or third week, and there's some motivation behind that for the players that are in the game.
Yeah, the most recent one, I guess, is that Night Blue pick up there for TSM. Kind of controversial having 2 jungle subs for TSM, putting more pressure on the odd one.
Starting rumors.
That's
Confirmed
later,
on
though.
stream. No.
We're building up to that.
So looking at these two compositions, we have the LeBlanc, the Lucian, a Renekton Elise, kind of a pick composition going up against, we said, that Siege. How do you play that out in the early game?
Since we pointed out early that XDG has been having problems with ward control, they're really going to have to step that up to make this this composition work here with LeBlanc and Elise really benefiting from Fog of War. Both of those champions want to get their combo started off from out of vision of CLG.
All right, it's going to be XDG versus Counter Logic Gaming. XDG on the blue side, CLG on the red for this matchup. We are week 3, day 2. We'll see what these two teams have for each other. Everything is pretty much same right out of the gate. We're going to get this defensive setup. We'll have to see, like you said, if they can get the wards down. Zuna has been aggressive for most of the early games on his junglers, trying to invade, so that wardage will help even in that.
Right, so the sweeper duty for this team is a lot on Zuna and the support, as usual, but also on ManCloud. I say this a lot, but I really like when the assassin mid laners get an early sweeper as well, so that they have it ready at level 9, because they make a lot of roaming moves, and if you're already going to be making those moves, it's much better to be sure that you're attacking from the Fog of War. And an extra sweeper there from the mid lane just gives you so much more control over the entire map.
We're seeing a lot of that play with the Nidalees, the Kazakhs coming out, all these assassins trying to be played within the meta right now. Not too much movement. We're going to see if Zuna can hold his own. He did an amazing job on Elise the second time he was put on it. The first time he faltered, but he really carried the game early.
The thing about Elise is that she's very powerful early, but if we saw him fall off before. If you're the one getting all the kills, because her kit has the execute, you often do take a lot of the kills early, then you have to be the one making the moves around the map. You can't just sit on that gold and farm your jungle, or else you guys will not really be able to make anything of that early lead, and then she'll fall off later compared to Gragas, who's going to be just a beast all around.
Link will not have any troubles with his blue being stolen, nor will Zuna, so they get themselves around quite easily with also no 2v1 lane swap. So everything's going straight on the beginning of this matchup, and we'll see how quick these two, Chouster and ManCloud, actually decide to go at each other.
Yeah, the mid lane here, Ziggs always wanting to shove in early, especially against single target damage like LeBlanc. LeBlanc nowadays really relies on leveling up her W to wave clear. And, if he can get her shoved in early before she's able to do that, then he can punish her CS-wise just in the first couple waves.
Well, it would fit his playstyle from yesterday. On Yasuo, we saw him instantly dashing in, right, to Ziggs, trying to take him out, knowing the playstyle. So here he's taking a bit of his own medicine this time.
He does. Oh, wow, bottom lane. Early level 2 there from the Lucian and Thresh. Good job by the Smithy Bloodwater duo shoving the lane, getting early advantage against the Caitlyn. It's not the easiest thing to do. Both of the duos did decide to start in the lanes and not help the junglers, so they were on even footing there.
It was a really great job by Bloodwater in lane. He's always making sure he gets that brush coverage, as we see Zuna making his way up to mid.
Yeah, I usually point out the mid lane as a really good target for Elise, coming actually behind that wall
the
to
turret
shoot
wall,
out the cocoon from Fog of War. But Ziggs is one of those mid lane champions that's very, very hard to gank because he has a built-in jump for himself with a satchel charge. And Chouster, he can clear waves from pretty far back, and he doesn't have to overextend much. That's really where a lot of this power from Ziggs comes. He can farm very easily.
Yeah, safe with the Doran's Ring on the mid lane, just spamming out spells right now with the regen. You see the ward bottom for Link, so he makes sure that his bottom lane is safe. He can do whatever he wants now, kind of off in the distance.
Yeah, Link, a lot of people criticize him for just waiting in the bush down bottom. Of course, CLG is going to want to focus their duo lane because of double lift, but you also do not want to waste your time as a jungler. Any time spent sitting and not killing anything, you have to kill something on the map to be making good use of your time. In the end, going aggressive early on a Renekton here.
It's like, oh, he misses that cleaver. Definitely would have given him a nice one-up on the lane, but they're just about even. Still looking for the factor of where XDG, it's coming up on 5 minutes, can make that first move, can start the momentum and get that catalyst rolling.
Yeah, it's really all up to Zuna at this point. He's going to be the one making plays. LeBlanc is a great lane to go to because she always has kill potential.
That was a great chain, but it's going to be a little far off the Cocoon. If he had that W, they might have had enough damage to go in.
Chaucer was playing it safe there. He really wanted to save both summoners, and he held on to it. It could have cost him, but good job. He got just under the turret there before the chain was able to pop due to that satchel charge we previously mentioned.
And I'm sure he would have loved that to happen because he's actually running barrier to the Ignite of ManCloud, which is now down.
Yeah, baiting under the turret there for the early kill and then being able to turn around is a very real possibility. So XDG not wanting to take that risk.
Smithy just farming up the rest of what's being pushed into the lane here by Afromoo and Double Lift in the bottom. So like you said, they might still want to focus him a little bit by banning out the Vayne and then some, but we're still looking for Zuna to make moves. Link is still low mana in jungle right now, so he won't be in the lanes.
Right, so Gragas, until he gets, he likes to complete that Spirit Stone and then he'll relieve those mana problems. But at the first clear, yes, he could run out as soon as his blue buff goes away. But that's why, he picks up the Chalice first. Just kidding. No Spirit Stone upgrade. Rushing Chalice. It looks like he'll probably go for that Athenes. There is a lot of magic damage because of the Elise jungle and LeBlanc mid lane.
We'll see what kind of factor that provides. Having that bit of extra damage is Afromoo and Doublelift getting aggressive. Smithy was a bit far behind there, trailing on Bloodwater. Good job by Link, just hovering on the outside. Everybody's ready for the counter engage right now. They're feeling it. It's getting up to about 6.5 minutes here, and it's about to happen.
Yeah, the stun from Annie down bottom means that that's always a good, hotbed for action for either jungler to go to. It's just that Thresh there, having the Lantern, means you're always having to second guess yourself because Thresh makes counter ganks so easy. The other jungler can arrive even late, a few seconds later, and still be able to turn it around.
See what CLG can do with this composition. I like the Gragas. Ooh, a little miss of a death sentence there by Bloodwater. Oh, but they're still going to double lift. He gets almost melee range there for being arranged. And he takes a bit more damage than he wanted to, but they trade the same to Bloodwater. This is getting antsy in the bottom lane.
So a lot of the damage from CLG, they're splitting to whatever is the closest target here. Both Bloodwater and Smithy taking a lot of hits, so they're both low. Meanwhile, all of the damage from XDG is going towards double lift. So they've got the AD carry very low, and he's playing dangerous now. If they did have Zuna making a move down bottom, then they could very well blow some summoners or capitalize on that.
Blue buff going over to ManCloud. Hopefully this will keep the lane even in the eyes of Chauster. He will need his as well. And we don't have any sweepers, even for the mids coming out yet. Like you said, we are 6, but the roam's not there yet.
Oh, there's the stun, and he gets Bloodwater's flash already.
That's going to be big damage for the Peacemaker. The barrel comes out. It's the last auto attack from Afromoo. Throwing fire.
All right. Talked about the bottom lane being a hotbed for action. Link hits level 6.
Man.
Boom. Instant gank. Even though the ultimate was unnecessary, they still got the kill. First blood down for CLG.
I was going to say before, I like the combination of the Gragas Annie. Sometimes if you don't have the flash, he can bounce somebody back into you. You don't need it. It really synergizes well. ManCloud onto Chauster. There's the barrier. And it doesn't look like ManCloud will have the cooldowns yet to get back.
Ooh, close one here. Zuna looking for a dive onto Mundo.
In the end, with the ultimate just pop, but it's going to be a little too late. Great Ignite to go down as well.
All right, Zuna does answer Link here, though. Gank for gank. They were each able to get 1 kill. Both of them were assisted, just a little bit of extra money down bottom. But since down bottom they weren't able to turn that gank into an objective like Dragon, because they only killed the support and not the AD carry, then it's still a very even game here.
1-to-1. That gold is only a 300 difference right now. It's in favor of XDG just by little bits of everything that's been happening. Link's going to go ahead, pick up this red once again, so his ganks become a little more efficient. And now they'll have that 3 or so minutes to work with that.
And now he's got the Spirit Stone as well. So he's got massive mana regen on that Gragas. He should be giving all further blues over to Chauster now, probably, to help Chauster deal with this LeBlanc. Because that's a tremendous amount of mana regen for a jungle Gragas here.
Why would you go for that much?
I don't know. Maybe needed the magic resist, like we said earlier. And I think
And
that
it just happens
he
to
is,
come along for the ride.
He is focusing on giving away further blues after that to Chester probably.
Well, it works overall. He's still got to deal with an Elise, still got to deal with a LeBlanc, so it fits in the build. In 9 minutes and 40 seconds, it looks like they are going to posture for Dragon somewhat. Double lift is quite low here, and Afro gets himself locked in. Are they trying to bait this out? They're taking a bit of damage for it being a bait. Everything on the calling hits Afro in the back of the head.
Double Lift thought about taking a few more hits from that calling to save his support, but now Link getting caught in the rope.
Oh, that's not the brush he wanted to walk into. ManCloud looking to make an appearance in this fight as well. He goes for the double dash. And it's already going to be Chowster out of range. And XDG, with this fight happening up top, really getting great positioning on Dragon.
That was such unfortunate time for CLG for the action bottom because they were trying to get that Dragon, make use of this pink ward with their double APs of Gragas and Ziggs.
Yeah.
But since Afromu got killed down bottom, they decided to give up the Dragon and start roaming. Ended up costing them not only the Dragon, but also their pink ward, also an extra kill for XDG. All around, this is turning really in favor of XDG.
Whoa, I think he bounced the wrong way on that one. Chowster gets hit with the cocoon. A great consecutive stack on the crowd control.
Kill after kill here. It is starting to snowball for XDG. They just gained a really big lead in the last minute with those moves down bottom.
XDG again with the hook, getting onto Afromu. He's been a little close, but he has the stun up for the re-engage on this. And it looks like they just trade a bit of damage back and forth. This is a heated bot lane right now with kills back and forth.
Yeah, definitely intense. And Afromu has his level 6 too, so Tibbers could join the party as well pretty soon here. But Double Lift being on an AD carry like Caitlyn, Bloodwire just misses
nice dodge.
Both of his spells. He's on an AD carry. Caitlyn, a little bit less playmaking ability, not as flashy as Vayne, but still he has to be very precise with his steps as well. The Ward Wars, Riv. The Ward Wars have been won.
They are real, Kobe. 2,000 gold by XDG here. This is, you know, it was at 5 minutes we questioned where the catalyst was going to come from, and it has started. They answered to those kills in the bottom lane, and the Dragon has been very big for them so far.
So CLG going back to the game plan here. All right,
yeah.
Turrets. We need to make use of our turret killing potential and get these rolling here. Bottom one goes down. This opens up the chain here, but they are all on the run from Zuna by himself. They know since Zuna's going so aggressive, he must have backup. That's why they're running from him. It's not just like everyone's so scared of a single Elise there.
Arachnophobia, it's real. 13 minutes coming up on the clock. That Dragon has quite a bit of time right now, so it's really CLG trying to get back in these lanes, not down too much CS in that top lane, or the mid for that matter. But there is an assist on ManCloud, and we've been looking at him to start doing very well.
So here's this Chalice from Link is going to come into play here. He has to hold this turret, so the extra mana regen going to help him out when he's trying to wave clear. But 3 members means it's still very dangerous for him.
And you almost have the 2 optimal supports here, Bloodwater being melee but almost ranged in Elise to help take down that turret.
So yeah, Thresh, Lucian, and Elise, very good tower taking trio because they all have those ranged attacks. But Link was able to do the job.
Yeah.
Plenty of AoE there, and CLG are able to hold on to that turret lead at least.
Nian getting found out here. Sadism gets thrown on, and he is actually looking for somebody else to be coming through. He doesn't have too much vision in that top area, so he backs off for now. It looks like it was going to be ManCloud coming up to help, but they trigger that off. We have a pink ward from CLG down into the blue buff now, so they're going to know that Zuna's grabbing this, or at least transferring it over.
He is going to be able to kill that pink ward, though, as he just finds it out. You do have to commend Nian up top. We said it was a player to watch, and going that Mundo into Renekton fight, especially taking teleport, non-combat summoner, and being on the receiving end of the jungle gank there, he's still right up there in CS with Renekton. So he's doing a great job, even in the face of that Zuna aggression.
The fast Tiamat, kind of shoving everything into his lane, so he's occupied for now. Still waiting for that first teleport from him. Seeing what Double Lift can do on Caitlyn this game. He's 120 CS. The Bloodthirster is charging there. And like we said, this lane has been very aggressive. Doublelift gets locked up, flayed backward in a perfect direction by Bloodwater, but they're reconsidering this. It comes out, Doublelift flashes in for the kill. Will he be able to get it? So slowed right now. And he goes to the last shot. There goes the level up, and they actually almost get the double kill for Doublelift.
But the roam from ManCloud comes down. He's not done, and Afromu's going to support versus mid laner without mana run him off.
Yeah, that's going to be I thought he was going to go at him. He just back it off.
He
Afromu just flexing his muscles.
ManCloud probably used a lot of his spells to get down there, gaining distance with W, and maybe even R there. So he didn't have a lot of damage to deal after he arrived at his destination.
Thought the fight might last a little bit longer than it did, but very well played. CLG getting Doublelift going, just what they want. Afromu with 2 kills. That's all right for now.
Up top, they do take the turret, though.
Yep. Oh, and that's Nien actually getting aggressed on as well. There's the execute from Zuna, and they come up with the 5th kill of the game.
Ooh, a lot of action here. So good rotation mid by Afromu after he's able to chase off ManCloud, and they actually 3-man take down that turret, calling in Link. Ziggs plus Gragas, the ridiculous wave clear, they are able to take that down very quickly, but the move top again from Zuna, repeat gank, they not only took the turret, but they killed Nien again.
So we got Dragon coming up, about 50 seconds now. That was XDG's. They have the timer on it, but CLG was pushed off, so they'll be able to pretty much aggress that and figure out what's going on and put the right pieces into place. That 1,000 gold lead is still in favor of XDG, but CLG is up in turrets, so they're trying to split this map wide open.
Right, CLG want to keep that lead, so they're trying to send their wave clearing resources down bottom here in time, but it's going to be a little bit too late. Only Afromu arrives to see it go down. They really wanted to try and hold on to that turret lead. Now, the idea is have Link try and hold the next turret with his wave clear and keep sending Doublelift and Afro up to that top side to try and get that last outer one.
Well,
oh, Dragon up. This is going to be a very intense
They have
Dragon
all the
fight.
wards they need. XDG's wards crease back into the blue buff of CLG right now, so they set these up well beforehand. You can see they're going to tick down throughout this entire fight. If it even happens, right now they're posturing each other.
Yeah, there's a lot of pink wards coming down too. The sweeper's still on cooldown from switching them out. So it's just going to be vision for both teams and a game of chicken, really.
What's your focus here, Kobe?
It's going to be on the ultimates here from Link. I have to see if he's able to get a good split onto this XDG team. Then CLG will be able to capitalize because Afromu does have his tippers available and his stun is primed.
Well, we do see the sight stones are finished, so the sweepers utilized a bit to help clear the vision in this fight, but right now everybody is eye to eye. And they are going to try. The culling goes out along with the cocoon. A little bit of wasted crowd control with a smite going to Zuna, and they may be able to back out of this one safe.
Yeah, that was a really, really dangerous smite war right there because both Gragas and Elise have huge bursting abilities, and it was just that XDG were able to use culling to shove CLG off the dragon in time to buy Zuna the time to go get that one. Really well played there, and he was able to grab the dragon over Link.
A very oddly played dragon, but XDG does come up with the second one. They have a great team for kind of getting out of a chaotic dragon as well. A lot of that team can jump over the wall, so they are very good at disengaging themselves.
I was actually expecting an ult there from Link.
Yeah, pounce them into the pit.
Try and knock Zuna back there, maybe get a little extra burst on dragon, but regardless, those plays come down to just milliseconds.
And we see maybe what's happening to ManCloud. Well, let's look at this first. As they come top lane, Benny's going to meet up with about 4 members of CLG, 5 members of CLG here, but it's only Nien first. It looks like everybody else is going to have that turret to themselves.
So after the dragon's gone, CLG do not dwell on that. They make that rotation that they were looking for to get the last outer turret, but they forgot to leave their wave clearing resources down mid. They rotated everybody up top instead of leaving the Ziggs and Gragas to wave clear at the mid turret, so they end up losing that one anyway.
And they're going to keep pushing. This second tier turret looks like it will go down. They are going to get pinched from the backside, but they have this completely warded.
Yeah, ManCloud might be able to get around the ward. He is spotted out, and everybody's going to escape with their lives. So a 1-for-1 trade on the turrets, and just all outers down now. This is actually pretty good for XDG. as we talked about, they're the ones who want to make use of the picking off with Elise and LeBlanc. Very, very good at that. So
but is
the
that
sweeper is definitely going to come into play soon.
And is that picking off going to be slowed down? Because we actually see, if this fight doesn't happen, that ManCloud went straight for an Athenes and not that Deathfire to make an impact.
Yeah, so he won't have the burst that he would have with the Deathfire, but Athenes does give you... Uh-oh, here we go, the engage.
Oh, Bloodwater getting kicked off. It's going to give him help at least from... That's a really heavy AP team.
Both teams have a pretty decent amount of magic damage here. It's pretty balanced. So if CLG are able to keep on shoving into the turrets to make use of their sieging damage, then it does kind of remove a lot of the pick potential for XDG. Since they're not roaming around, they're all going to be grouped up all the time at the turrets. And you won't be catching them out in the jungle because they're sticking as a unit.
There's a bit of that siege potential you were talking about. Just kind of taking down the turret without worry. And they even have the range to stay back and still poke out. They need to.
So if CLG do not make some positional errors and they don't start splitting up, and they keep on with this 5-man forcing fights at turrets, then it could swing back in their favor, and they could get that global gold back by doing the same exact move towards mid. But if they do get a little bit lax, they could easily get caught out by these wards, and it just takes a stray kill or two at this point in the game for XGG to grab an objective right after.
It's like minion waves aren't in the right spot for them just yet. So we will have to see what they can do to kind of, as they say, move off the ball and get things in place. So if they do win that fight, they can push top, they can get a dragon and really bolster themselves. We actually see the Deathfire Grass might be coming in for ManCloud now. He's trying to fend off that Gragas and Chouster aggression that he's been feeling all game.
They're already transitioning into the split push for Nien. He's decently beefy, but he doesn't have the good ward coverage down on bottom side. So it still is dangerous. Even with Mundo at this point in the game, he's very killable. So he does need to at least support himself with a few deep wards in this red side jungle before he starts, getting very deep with that split push.
Taking a look at the support items, those boots of mobility have been finished on Bloodwater. He's usually the one to try and make an impact for this team, start to make the plays, the flash flays we've seen in front of Dragon for a 3-person, 4-person flay. It's really what he is all about. And at 22 minutes in, things are getting a lot harder for those to happen. Nien and Benny right now, a little bit of back and forth, but they're just going to keep going at it.
And you can see how XGG are sort of fainting with their roam down bottom. They're halfway between making the call to go all the way down there and cut Nien off. So it's a very dangerous situation for CLG because the CLG are trying to get the advantage by farming all 3 lanes. Which is putting yourselves up for the opportunity to get picked off on one of those lanes. But they are gaining a bit of extra gold here because they were getting double if farm in the top lane at the same time.
Like you said, Double Lift doing the double farm duty. He's 196 to 155 right now. We haven't even really seen the Static Shiv coming into effect in the fights. He's just been pushing lanes.
Static Shiv and Bloodthirster is the pushing build here because he can both clear waves with the Static Shiv and do a lot of turret damage because of his flat AD. Ooh, good flanking opportunity actually for XDG right now. They have a pretty good circle around this CLG team.
Yeah, they got these sweepers working quite well so they can get themselves into position. It's going to be onto Aframu. Does he have time to turn around? His flash is down, and he tries to get himself back into the fight. Throws down Timbers towards Bloodwater. It's going to be Aframu going down, but they trade back onto Bloodwater. That's Chouster coming up with a kill, and they separate.
So support for support, and both of them used all of their summoners as well. That's pretty good for CLG considering they got jumped on.
A good bit of burst there, but ManCloud still technically safe on that LeBlanc, even with that amount of health. The needlessly large rod for burst damage here, and CLG has to be safe for those quick pokes.
Uh-oh,
there's one right now.
Faint.
Trying to go in. Looks like Smithy trying to get in range for the passive, but he just throws off another ability. Goes for the repel, and it's going to be in range of double if no. The Caliber net.
Ooh, very close right here. Double F trying to flash out of the range of that chain, but it's still procced at the very edge, and Zuna got just close enough to repel in. that damage onto double lift earned them a dragon. That was a dragon earned basically by ManCloud's play there with his R chain.
And that is the third dragon of the game going directly towards XDG. They are very definitive in the early game. We can't say it enough. But there is, ooh, nice job deterring the back there.
Stopping that back
Yes.
could very well mean a mid turret. With how much siege damage these guys have,
Wow.
Caitlyn and Ziggs, they can take it down really quickly.
What an incredible and quick play. Great thinking by Link. They get the mid turret here, and it looks like XDG is scrambling to recover.
They would really like to lay down some wards on their exit too, because they don't have a lot of vision on this top side for CLG. But they can take away that blue buff after. Wow.
Aframu's doing work this game. Highest kills for his team. 2 kills on Annie. Double lift and Chouster behind him, so they're at least getting
The picks,
The DPS
so
fed.
close for ManCloud.
every time, just a hair away. Benny's going to carry the vision back to the team for a little bit, but
Wow.
it looks like
Do you
XDG.
see the pings here on Baron? That's a risky,
Yeah.
risky call. Baron against a Gragas Ziggs team? That's ridiculous. If you get hit by both those ultimates, everyone will die. Baron stacks up that magic resist debuff on
Kobe,
you.
the B word, man. It's pretty stressful. Zuna taking huge damage from the backside. The bomb coming in, and they're going to choose to back off on that. Can't thread the needle. Zuna stays alive. They are just pushing their luck.
That was a really poor move there for XDG and a really good thing for CLG. That's going to give them map control while the members of XDG have to recall right now, because Zuna got chunked out so hard. They actually can start pushing up once again. And look at this massive wave down bottom for CLG. It's just primed for taking that last secondary turret.
Absolutely has Doublelift's name on it along with the turret. He's going to push that one in. 37,000 to 36,000. It is still a very close game economy-wise, and we'll see if this can be broken soon.
Oh.
Another turret. Zuna coming very close. Everything just missing on the outside, and that's enough for the re-engage. The counter coming in, and Link goes back over the wall, trying to deter the damage, but Benny's doing a great job on a 3-damage AoE. Call the Meek. Tiamat damage coming out, using the active. They are crushing down CLG.
CLG were so split right there. They had Nien in the mid lane. He was chasing this fight the whole time. CLG actually engaged that on purpose, going for the kill onto Bloodwater. Link wanted to get that one quick and then flash out, but XGG didn't let them get away with the kill, and they made him pay for having Nien mid. All right, so as you see, Nien starts walking down now, but all of XGG are chasing. So even though they got the first person killed, since Nien's not there, they can easily capitalize. Oh, Tibbers hits nobody right, or there's no stun on it at least. Didn't get anybody with that. And as we know, Chasser goes down as well. Just split seconds here, making the difference.
You know, Kobe, it was very interesting there that all the gap closers were instantly used to deny the Gragas displacement, and they were instantly back in range again for all the kills.
Exactly. I don't think that all of CLG were actually on the same page there
Yeah.
either. Seemed like a quick little play there that was unfortunate because it was 4 versus 5 at the situation, and they really were just looking to buy time. With that giant creep wave, though, I think that Nien probably should have just roamed straight with the rest of the team instead of splitting mid.
The straight 5. They have control in all the other lanes. This map has been completely, as I said, split open before. Only 3 turrets have been taken for XDG, so they have a lot of work to be done. And right now, the items are just falling into the inventories of CLG. The Spectral Wraith finished up, along with the Rabadons, which is actually matched on the side of ManCloud.
So he's not going for
Yeah.
DFG, just straight up power.
This time Nien is there. What are they going to do? Nothing. They just hang out. They said, we'll wait for that ult to go off, and then we might do something.
So Mundo's ultimate is down, but so is Culling.
Looks like Benny trying to get in. They're activating everything, but like you said, it's the miscommunication, it seems like. Ace in the hole. They didn't want that fight. They didn't want it at all.
It was played perfectly by CLG. They don't have the they wouldn't have the stun ready there, so they just kite backwards really beautifully. And then when Benny's trying to escape, then they lock him down and finish him off. Very well played by CLG, kiting back and then turning the tables. Now they have the man advantage, and they've been able to clear out a lot of those pink boards that XCD dropped. They had dropped 4 up by Baron at the first attempt, by the way.
Oh, the face
and
check
now
of death.
it's all CLG's control.
This is good. XDG trying to get it what lanes push they can
Still
without
risky.
roaming.
It's risky for either team to do this because LeBlanc can corner you very easily in that Baron pit as well.
We should just rename it to Risky. A little bit easier.
The risky pit?
We're doing the Risky.
Blast!
Oh, Zuna! Go! Can he get out of this one? Zuna actually getting up to the rappel. No, he gets bounced by the ducky as he lands back down. Everybody's health on CLG just dropped very quickly. They have to be careful. One last shot to double it. The red buff able to help him come up with that kill.
So going for the initiation onto Elise isn't always the best because the possibility of those repels dodging is very real. But since XDG couldn't commit after that, you know, there was nowhere for Zuna to go but down, and CLG easily focusing him as soon as he hits the floor.
The sweepers are out. You're seeing the AD carries only with the wards. The sweepers being used now for the Baron Kobe. Again, they go back for it. 30 minutes exactly on the clock. It could be a complete game turner here in our first game of the day. Benny's on and in the middle with Dominus. Bloodwater puts himself in with the box up, but he gets exploded by the bomb. And Benny's able to take down Nien as they get a retribution kill.
Zuna's up and he's coming though.
It's doing so much damage. It's only down to just under half.
Good thing they actually stopped this time because Zuna was on the hunt here, running straight towards Baron, and Elise has amazing steal potential for those neutral monsters. Wow, this has just got really intense around the Baron fight there. CLG almost was able to make use of that big minion wave bottom, but since the fight finally dissipated right as it hit the turret, ManCloud was actually to pick most of it up.
Maximum amount of communication happening right now between both teams. For them to keep wanting to go after Baron is already absurd, but they are confident in the plays they're making right now. Dragon going to be going to XDG. I believe they've gotten just about everyone, 4 of 4 in this game, and have really been keeping them steady because they're not dropping the turrets.
Yeah, it's very hard to go for Barons that early in the game because even Mundo right now has a bit of a tough time tanking it, and everybody taking a little bit too much damage there. Dragon, a much safer area to fight over. So XGG kind of get it by default because of so many failed Barons, and they're able to increase their lead once again.
That would have been pretty intense. Like I said, it's usually Bloodwater trying to make those hooks, the plays and all the flays, if you will. 10-9, 32 minutes on the clock. It's 6-3 in turrets. It's been a bit of a stall now for CLG. They've had to find other turrets to take down. They haven't been able to break one of the base turrets yet, but that doesn't mean it's coming. It's not coming soon. They're still very powerful, and they're just doing it methodically right now.
Yeah, the change of focus over to Baron was very interesting from CLG because they have such a great team for just stacking up next to a turret. But, you know, around that Baron, it did not work out so well for them. The trap.
I like it. Starting off, sometimes you see that Caitlyn ult used to initiate a fight or put a team off their forward foot. And now they're going to be pushing back. CLG looks to get ward coverage with the pink in mid. The bottom of the jungle's not seeing any wards right now. Any team. You see that pink over Dragon, but XDG already has all 4 of them to their name. And I don't know if they have much they can do right now. They have to wait for CLG to make the mistake.
With all that crazy action around Baron, both teams have kind of taken a breather here. They need to regroup themselves because they both came very, very close to giving away the Baron buff to their opponents. And they need to have a single shot caller regroup them and reestablish the plan, because it seems like everybody's trying to farm their own little bits of money right now, and they could very well fall apart.
And we see, you know what, I believe it was Double Lift in the video we saw before this game. The mid to late game is where they thought they'd be able to overcome XDG. And we saw in the beginning, XDG was up 5-2 at one point. But the mid to late game here is really getting under them.
And when people talk about the mid to late game, what they're talking about is like the play calling that comes up when you have to deal with this Baron. And we've seen both teams falter around it here. So now they've finally made the call here. They're grouping up once again. Return to the original strategy. And the only problem with this is they're going to have to avoid all of the skill shot picks from XDG. XDG are looking to go in on a hook, on a chain, or on a cocoon. If any of those land, then they pull the trigger and they go aggressive. And it's up to CLG to disengage at that point.
And XDG is using those sweepers as much as possible. You can see them. They just came off cooldown, and they're actually back on cooldown for both Benny and Zuna. They are trying to get this part of their jungle back, and it's really the first step in a long road to getting back over CLG. They're up 3,000 gold because of these objectives, but they are in their base pretty much all the time.
Yeah, and both teams know that the next mistake is going to be very costly.
As time goes on, that last fight leads to everything.
Exactly. Everybody has shown that they're very willing to go for a Baron with only even one person on the opposing team down.
And they're not even trying to use the teleport anymore, as we said.
Yeah, it cost them in that bottom lane. So I think after the fumbled play down bottom, where they really had a nice advantage with the huge creep wave pushing, they may have made the call to keep Nien close. Now he's finally looking down bottom as we bring it up.
Doublelift doing his part to get in front. Talisman of Ascension goes off. It's going to be ManCloud. A great rubber ducky, though. Kind of pops up and stops up the initiation. CLG reassesses the fight and looks like they're all right to stay in lane.
Talisman of Ascension is down for both teams now, though. And Link trades his flash with ManCloud. Still extremely even. Nien goes for the initiate.
The sadism is on. He goes into the fight. It's a great ultimate, throwing XDG away, but Afromu goes down. He did get Tibbers out. A little bit of damage was used there. But it looks like, again, it's only one kill. Goes to Afromu. Do they trade back? No. Smithy with the block.
They do have the advantage for health, though, so they're trying to get something back before XDG are able to heal in their fountain. But it's going to be very difficult for them to get any extra damage. They just need to pull back out because it's going to turn into a 5 versus 4 very quickly here.
XDG using the fact that they have that turret so close. With Afromu down, you can see they still respect the damage CLG is doing, and they do need to back up, reset before trying to engage. We said that gold lead, 3,000 gold right now in favor of XDG from Dragons, from really putting themselves kind of outside the box in the early part of the game in dangerous positions, and it paid off. But again, that mid to late game, the shot calling now for Baron is where they begin to falter.
The follow-up damage as well on Afromu's Flash Tibbers is, I think they need to wait for maybe some more things from Link. Wow, a face check on the bush.
On to Nien, he goes down instantly. This could be the fight we were looking for, Kobe. Afromu is going to get called once again. No, he saves it with Tibbers, but he goes down in the end of melee attacks. Smithy able to get a good shot there. They have really great positioning over this now.
So 36 minutes in, finally the vision control that we talked about for XDG coming into play. They actually want to pull the same play twice here in the same bush, hoping that CLG will walk into it. They did get 2 members down, though. The only reason they're hesitant about going for the Baron after that is because of the large area of effect magic damage that CLG have. Now they decided to make the call, though. Link is in the area.
It's going to be big. He's actually trying to go all the way around from the other side. He's going to meet Xmithy. That is a lot of damage, and there is no armor right now on Link. He can't face this.
CLG have given up this Baron. They don't want to try contesting it. They've decided to just shove in on the turrets. You can see Doublelift doing a lot of work on the inhibitor turret, and they might even answer it for the Baron.
Inhibitor turret for the Baron. And it looks like that will be easily pressured by them, especially with the team they have now, able to displace and really get this pick comp out of the way of that inhibitor.
They got the pick that they wanted, though. That was the crucial pick for XDG. You can see the ward coverage littered up in that topside jungle that they spent to get that. They worked really hard for that bush gank that they just pulled on the backside of Blizzard.
Great job. Baron's down, Dragon's down. Both teams really scratching at the next objective here because it is not within reach, especially not for CLG. XDG now feels they have some ground to work with Baron. It puts a little bit of more gold in their pocket and stats for the time being in the next 4 minutes that they have it. Mikhail's Crucible, Bloodwater loving that item, and it's been keeping Smithy safe at 5-1 and 5 this game.
So he can use that to remove a stun from one person that Afromu initiates on, if Afromu does get a priority target. But what XDG really need is maybe a point man for a turret dive, or another pick.
Oh, a pick in the other direction, though. Tibbers really didn't get too much damage down, if any, right there. Zuna took a little bit. It's a very chaotic fight so far. Not much vision to be had, and now that they're coming around the corner, Inferno Bomb taking down Bloodwater. They're going to go on to Nien now. Benny uses the stun up, and they get out.
ManCloud was not there the entire time, so even though XDG have Baron buff, it was a good job by CLG actually turning the tables in their own jungle. And it should be extremely easy for them to defend. That's why I was looking for a point man for XDG's tower dive, because CLG have so much wave clear that it's going to be very hard for XDG to ever push in with a wave. You know, they've got two options there. Both Link and Chowster can pretty much save an entire lane by themselves. And it's going to be a fairly slow endgame here, as XDG have the upper hand, but not a lot of options for ending. They really have to count on catching someone from CLG out of position or just deciding to go for that dive.
So with this pink comp, does XDG kind of always hold that option to win the game? Or can they outscale what they're facing here with CLG?
The scaling is pretty good for both teams there. I don't know. I mean, like I just said, they're going to have to come up with a different way to lure CLG out, because Baron buff is ticking down here.
Probably won't walk right into him. May get something in this brush. The sweepers still being used very excessively here. 4 on each side. We're looking at the 80 carries. If Doublelift were to be split pushing, to use that trinket to keep himself safe. But CLG is getting a little taste of their own medicine. They're back on their side of the map, and XDG is dictating the game.
They're so reliant on those skill shots, though, from XDG. They have to have one of those land. So we'll have to see how good CLG are at dodging those and just relying on their wave clear at the turrets as they slowly push in. You can see they're spending a lot of time clearing out all the wards and trying to get that vision back because of their lack of options around turrets.
See if they can get something in. Aframu with Tibbers up. He does have his flash as well. We've been seeing how much of an effect that has on these fights. CLG, or rather XDG, is able to pretty much reassess and recuperate after getting hit with that explosive cask, and it's been amazing in the fights we thought they would just completely lose. Coming out on top, we said 5-1 and 5 for Xmithy, 4-1 and 6 for Benny up top. He's kind of been somebody we've been watching, and he's faring very well against Nien this game.
XDG are being hesitant for a good reason here. There's so much for them to worry about if they do go for that dive, because CLG is a very good team at kiting backwards. They can displace everyone with the Link ultimate, and then you literally have to run through a minefield to get back to Doublelift, since Chowster is throwing down so much area of effect damage. Now CLG has successfully waited out that Baron buff.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make that move back into the jungle.
Aframu gets caught again, going up toward a brush. They are just getting every advantage that they can, taking down Link as well. And XDG is making huge plays right now.
So relying on the skill shots for picks is fine, as long as you land them there. A good cocoon, they are able to get the pick that they wanted. CLG venturing through the jungle instead of going straight through the lane here. And now Doublelift gets picked too.
Doublelift not in a good spot. He wasn't even sitting on a ward there. They just know. Just know.
Nien gonna do his best to draw attention back down bottom, but it's gonna be very difficult here. Chowster by himself is an easy target for a dive. If Benny decides, if he can get close enough at least, then they can decide to go for it.
XDG with fantastic mentality this game to keep their heads in it, to know that there was still that late game, even though the mid kind of sunk for them. They were in a bit of a rut for a while. But now they have a 6,000 gold lead, and CLG has not been able to close that anytime soon.
So off of that pick down in the jungle, they got, what was that, 2 turrets? Yeah, 2 turrets. Plus an extra kill on Doublelift, because Doublelift was recalling in a poor spot. So a pretty big extension in the lead of XDG, but they still face a similar problem when they're trying to crack through those inhibitor turrets. The good thing for them is that they've waited so long, Baron's about to come back up. And they can look for another situation where they can draw CLG away from their base and try and make a play.
I feel like when Baron comes back up, though, CLG has the team that kind of will do better there. The more AoE, it's a lot more dangerous for XDG.
They'll do better if XDG are on the Baron, but they have to get through the jungle to get there, which is very dangerous because XDG have set up all those wards we talked about really dangerous for CLG to go out into that area.
It's already facilitated a few kills. Just a few minutes ago, we saw Alphamu going down, Nien being very close. Doublelift was taken down in the bottom lane, so XDG is capitalizing on a lot of very small things, and they're amounting to big things. Lastly, a Baron, and possibly another one here in 18 seconds. They're also going to get another Dragon.
Yeah, and Dragon at this point is worth a tremendous amount of gold, almost as much as Baron. Getting up there towards 1,300. Now, CLG out of the base, XDG looking for the flank.
There it is, Benny and ManCloud coming from the side. Doublelift is forced to flash away. He is in a safe spot though, DPSing from the outside, but it's like he's hitting a brick wall with Benny. Aframu very low, the chain locks him down. Double kill for ManCloud. A game where he's finally coming out for his team, and it is paying off as Smithy comes up with another kill. 8-1 and 8.
See, XDG don't even have to go for the Baron. Just it being up means that the ward control they have over the map allows them to create the play at mid and go for the inhibitor.
This is what you were talking about before in the game, Kobe. Curse for CLG, that crisis mode. What do we do now? How does it happen from here? But I don't think CLG is going to be able to have an answer.
They're going to be dead way too long here. XDG able to get a decisive and final fight in the mid lane.
Something they very much so needed. The momentum for XDG hopefully back under them. A 45-minute game against CounterLogic Gaming that was in the base of XDG for the majority of the time. They pushed back out, but they've knocked down the front door, and they take the win away from CounterLogic Gaming.
You can see they are very happy. They needed to get out of that losing streak. XDG really, really tasted this win.
They came in hungry. You can see it's definitely a big relief. As you said, it is ending the losing streak, stopping that bleeding, and it's something they can absolutely work on. Something teams have been using and working on throughout this split. CLG, the changes, like we've said, have always been a constant and are going to constantly cause problems.
Yeah, you can see they know the stages where they messed up.
Yeah.
Getting caught out several times. Finally ended up fighting on
XDG stayed true to form though. In the early game, they came out ahead. They really pressured quite well. It only took, I think it was like 11 minutes before we saw that first action. And then it kind of went down from there. We finally zoomed things back.
It's been a long time coming, the Zuna dance. But CLG, man, those types of games where you're trying to go for the turrets early and you choose your champions around that objective mean that you have to switch up your play, and it's not the same as just like everybody picking teamfight comps and going, okay, whoever's just better at teamfighting is going to win. It's a much different strategy, and you have to make those little adjustments, especially having to do a lot to do with ward coverage there.
Looking at that team comp, I would have said whether they were mediocre or level, that CLG was going to win every one with the amount of AoE damage they had that you could just clear or push people out with the Gragas. But it just came down to the fact that it was a better team fight coming from Benny being the tank and the rest of the team just going all in on good calls.
It's all these skill shot picks that XDG are getting here. Lots of cocoons, chains from Mandatory Cloud, and even Bloodwater landing some good hooks.
Double chains.
You have to shout out the playmakers there on XDG.
Absolutely. We've got to take a quick break, but we're just getting warmed up here in Los Angeles. When we return, we'll be joined by XDG Zuna to talk about ganking a much-needed win. Then it's our second game of the day when Voyboy and Curse versus Crepo and Evil Geniuses. The 2014 North American LCS. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Everything just missing on the outside, and that's enough for the re-engage. The counter coming in, and Link goes back over the wall, trying to deter the damage, but Benny's doing a great job on a 3 damage AoE. Call the Meek, Tiamat damage coming out, using the active. They are crushing down CLG.
CLG were so split right there. They had Nien in the...